MMA Oddsbreaker. I'm Frank Trigg. That's Mark Pavelich. He's just finished his international tour, or well, your national tour of Canada, pushing this MFC card you got coming up here on October 4th. Are you back in Edmonton?
Yes, I'm back in Edmonton, and it's great to be back in Alberta, man. I love it here. I do.
I
You know,
know.
you could be a metrosexual redneck and no one criticizes you. It's awesome.
We talk about it every time I'm up there, like how the hell you live there, why you like it, and every day, every time I see you, you have another reason why you stay there. It's never the same reason. It's always another reason why you love that place. And
Yeah, because the people are so supportive of us. All the other MMA shows keep going out of business. We keep staying alive. I mean, that's just a beautiful thing. And, it's a matter of time. I think I'm just starting to learn the business after 13 years and, like, really understand what we need to do to get to the next level. And that's what's going to happen.
what do you got to do to get to the next level?
We came to a realization just a while back that we probably have to sell 49% of the Maximum Fighting Championship. UFC had to get the Fertitta brothers involved. Bellator was dying, and then they had to get Viacom involved. And then we're the next thing. The difference is we have more knowledge than Bellator. No offense, because I know you work with them, but we do. We have more knowledge. Like if you put us all in a room together and we all started talking, people would gravitate towards us because we know more about the business of MMA. We don't. They know how to raise money, and that's one thing they're good at. And that's one thing we've never been. That's what we've always kind of prided ourselves, like we're going to be a family business. We're going to grind this out. But if we really want to be on the same playing field, we know that now. It's unfortunate to say it out loud, but we're going to have to sell 49% MFC, and that's what we're going to have to do. We could keep going on as the best show in Canada. We could keep going on as one of the better shows in the world, but we're never going to be on the actual playing field with UFC and Bellator for one reason and one reason only, and that's money.
Are you looking for one person to buy up all 49%? You're going to find a bunch of people to buy out the difference.
I'm not sure yet. I mean, we discuss it in the office all the time, but I think it's someone I prefer myself personally to have an active partner, maybe someone that's not so knowledgeable on MMA, but maybe that has a different perspective on how to, get bigger sponsors, how to do, just things a little bit different than I've been doing.
What about Cuban? Once you're on his network with down here in the States with Access Television, why don't you pitch him about buying up 49%? He's on that Shark Tank show on ABC, and he crushes it. And I was just at the Olympia here in Las Vegas, and all the guys from Shark Tank are here, pushing around all the stuff they just bought.
But you know what, Frank? I think what happened to him was he had the initial experience that he had with putting on the two shows in Dallas. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the turnoff of, because they weren't successful shows. And I think that was the turnoff of him being so-called like in the promoting side of the business. And when he was here in Edmonton, and we discussed that before, that was kind of his sentiment at that time. But I think everybody knows deep down. I mean, like, you've been in MSC numerous times. It's almost comical, like like all these great fighters. My son was making a list the other day of like all the people that fought the Maximum Fighting Championship. We've had to plead and beg and scratch and, to get them to fight in our organization. They all want to fight in our organization just for the money, though. That's the different story.
What happens if the Fertitta brothers or Dana White come up and go, look, we want to buy your organization, we want to buy 49% of it and help you be our affiliate up there in Canada, on the West Coast. Would you work a deal out with DW since you two have been so vocal against each other?
Well, I would want to spar with them 3 rounds of boxing before we made the deal, and then we make it after that, because I would mash him in a boxing match. I would just destroy him.
You think so?
Oh yeah, I would. Like, it wouldn't even be close. Like, it's so funny. I'm like 45, bad back, zero athleticism, and it's like it's the only time I ever look minorly athletic is when I box. It's almost comical. Like, if you saw it, you'd be like, holy smokes, like, he doesn't look like he can. And then all of a sudden I start boxing, I kind of look like I know what I'm doing. But I like the Fertitta brothers. I love the way they conduct themselves in business. I think they're really smart guys. It's just, like I said, the difference would be Strikeforce was, they kind of let Strikeforce go. They let Pride go. And I think I would be the different one they wouldn't let go, because it's funny. You saw like, no offense to Coker, but I never seen him as an MMA guy, really. He was always, to me, like a kickboxing, he had that background. So I never seen him that way. I never seen Bjorn Rebney as an MMA guy. He was more of a came from boxing background. Gary Shaw. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I'm one of the originators, man. So for me, it's like I never feel uncomfortable around those people when we're talking about MMA. Never.
All right. Well, let's have you break down this MFC 38 card coming up. You got 3 title fights going on. back to back to back. It's a little hectic for you because that's a lot of fights, a lot of rounds to try to put together.
It could be it could look masterful, or it could be a total nightmare. It goes 15 rounds between the three of them, man, and I'll be like jumping off a cliff.
Yeah.
That's my biggest worry. I mean, in theory, it looks like it could be really good, but it's my son and I were discussing that on the plane on the way home, and how we have to, we might even have to run the first fight not with the entranceway walkout, just have them waiting inside the ring, just to make sure, we got to time it that way. We could go longer on Access TV. That's not our goal. Our goal is to do the 8 o'clock till 10:30 done. Like,
yeah.
Any longer than that, I think it just drags. I'm not into that. I don't like that.
Well, what do you think is going to happen with the Rama Hamilton fight? Is that one going the distance, or is it going to be, and who's going to finish it?
That's the one for sure. It's not going to go the distance. But Hamilton's a legit 265-pound fighter. He has to cut weight to make 265. And the thing I'm looking most forward to at all is the only fight I want to go out of the first round is that fight. I want to see Rama pushed. I want to see how Rama does. It's great. You can fight. He's ranked 35th in the world or something, 33rd in the world on Fight Matrix. And the funniest thing is, I saw that the other day. I'm like, well, yeah, the level of opponent he's fought hasn't been the greatest yet. But he's going to have to – this is a guy that's definitely a step up. He's a legit heavyweight, and he's not a guy that's just going to fade quickly.
Right. Okay. Let's break down the Burchak-Tito Jones fight.
It's going to go 90 miles an hour. I mean, to me, Burchak's the best fighter in the world for, say, I'm going to sell my fight, I'm going to promote my fight, I'm going to fight my fight, and then I'm going to – that's what he does. He does that kind of thing, and – it's a rarity in our sport, which Frank. I mean, yeah. I'll do my talking in the ring. That's for the birds, man. No one cares about you doing your talking in the ring. You got to do your talking before, then do your talking in the ring, and do your talking after, and people will pay attention. And Burchak's that guy. And it was unbelievable. We did the contest for who was going to be in the main event, and people are like, "Oh, Rama's got this, no problem, right?" So it was South and Alvey, Rama and Hamilton, Burchak and Tito Jones. Everybody figured, I'm telling you, Burchak and his crew won by miles. Like, they're the main event come October 4th. And people thought, no, that's impossible. And Burchak won by miles. Alvey came second, and Rama came a very distant last.
That's not surprising at all, because Burchak was hitting me up. Hey, retweet. I want to be the main event. Hey, come on, push it out, post it out. Do me a favor. He DM'd me. Do me a favor, put this up on Facebook. I'm like, yeah, I'll help the kid out. Then I realized he was doing it with everybody. He was spending all day in between training practices getting that out there so that people make him the main event. He earned it. He earned the right because it was a fan favorite, a fan pick. He's on the top end. That's how it should be.
And I love that. You know what I love? I hate the sense of entitlement that people think they have. And Burchak is that guy that said, okay, if that's the opportunity I have in front of me, I'm going to go do it. He had 3/4 of the UFC tweeting about him to be in the main event. I mean, that's awesome. And it was funny. For one whole week, I was seeing everybody in the UFC tweeting about our contest. Sam's guys like Dan Henderson to help him out. Burchak's, they were all doing it. It was awesome. And it's like, it was great to see that people were really getting behind this contest.
Alvey South, how's that fight going to break down?
If South doesn't get this fight to the ground, he's going to end up in the hospital. There's no question. I'm not even kidding. Like, we'll be visiting. He'll be taking an ambulance back to thing, because I seen Alvey, what he did to Jay Silva. I saw Alvey go toe-to-toe with Elvis Mutacic. Toe-to-toe, stood right in the middle of the ring. People thought he was nuts to do that. Yeah. And he did it. And Elvis, worse for wear, when the fight was over, Mutacic looked worse. He won the fight, but he looked worse, no question. And then, but South, if he gets into the ground, I think he's got enough potential. I think he's got enough game to last down there. But South's 10-0 with 10 finishes, so.
I know, and no game. Like, he does not play around once he gets a hold of you. That thing gets on the ground, it's all over. Like, he's finding a way to get it done. The problem is, I think, like you said, if he doesn't get to the ground quickly, Alvey's going to beat him up. But Alvey also likes throwing big, heavy, hard punches that if you duck one and he misses, he's all the way over the top of you. And now it's a melee. Who's going to land on top and what can happen?
And the scramble, right? But
yeah.
You look at the camp that Alvey's got, though, with Dan Henderson and all those guys over there. Like, if they can't strategize for this fight, there's something seriously wrong. I mean, nothing's going to change. Everybody knows what's going to happen, and it's going to be a nightmare. It's going to be a nightmare for South if it doesn't go to the ground. And I think Alvey has he has to put it on the egg timer for how long he can be on the ground. Every second that goes by on the ground is just not good.
All right, last thing before I let you out of here, I'm not sure if you saw the news because you were traveling, but a fighter down in Brazil was getting ready for Chito, Brazil, was cutting weight and had a seizure and died. They're now, of course, saying now everyone's talking about they got to change the weight classes, they got to change how people make weight, got to change the weigh-in time, day of weigh-ins, like all the old crap that we beat years ago because it was dangerous for the sport. Is it an unfortunate accident what happened down there in Brazil, or is it now are we going to look at a changing of the guard or how things are going to happen with weigh-ins and how the process is done with MMA?
I hate hearing that kind of stuff, Frank, because I've never been an advocate of gigantic weight cuts with people. We've always done our weigh-ins in the MFC earlier in the day at 12 noon instead of at 6 o'clock at night. And I do cheat those 6 hours for the fighter. I don't do it for me. I don't care when the weigh-ins are. I'm not making weight. But when these guys are doing that now, and I know, what's funny? I had $1 for every time I said that was going to happen. We had Paul Daly before being taken away in an ambulance in MFC because he was trying to cut so much weight. And I don't think it's good for people that put on shows. And I hate to use the word promoters because that's a dirty word now in our sport. But people like me that are pioneers in the sport, I'm going to let people know that stuff happens. Like, I'm going to let people know that Paul Daly was taken away in an ambulance. That, guys were taken to the hospital. I have to let people know about that because I think that's a very dangerous thing that's going to happen. And I've said it on numerous cases that someone's going to die, which has happened. Yep. In every sport, we have these kind of incidents where people could die or whatever the case may be. But that's from straight cutting weight. That's not from being hit in the head. That's not from being kicked in the head. And those things could be avoided. And like I said, I'm not the one to regulate it, Frank, but I'm the one that I know that's going to happen. It's going to happen again and again. And, until regulating bodies, commissions, take responsibility for it. And it's funny how commissions do that. I'm not one to really bash commissions too much, but if it happens one time, they should be on attack mode already and trying to figure out something about, I'm not saying about, changing weight classes, but I am saying changing times before fights. I'm saying is, a weigh-in when they come in on a Tuesday, and if a guy is 35 pounds out, we have an issue here, right? And I'm not saying you have to do a double weigh-in, but you got to do that initial weigh-in when you come in, and there should be some kind of rule that you're within 15 pounds of your actual weight when you arrive, and then go from there.
Yeah, and everyone's getting in now 4 or 5 days in advance. Being within 15 pounds of your weight 5 days out is not that hard to make, and it's not that difficult. And of course, it's a sliding scale. A guy that's like super heavyweight that has to cut weight, like Anthony Hamilton, to make 265. If he's 20 pounds over, it's kind of okay because he's over 300. That's not a big percentage. But if a guy that's making 135, or 145, and he's 15 pounds over, that's a little dangerous. Like, these guys got to start thinking and get a little smarter. I'm not for the whole change. I didn't like the way NCAA wrestling did it down here in the States, where they switched it up and they moved the weight classes by 7 pounds and made an hour weigh-in and did all that. I don't think it really improved the sport that much or changed the sport that much. Guys still cut weight. They're just better about cutting weight and forcing them to be smarter about their diet. I think that's one of the issues, and is going to become a situation now where the promoter is going to have to be more responsible during these weight cutting issues. And every guy, until the commissions regulate it, it's going to be up to get guys like you, the pioneers, to go, this is what we're going to do different.
We can't, Frank. That's one thing we can't cross the line in. Even, like, I agree with you, what you're saying, but the commission's the one to regulate that whole process. We're not even, even on my own weigh-ins, I'm there prior. We have guys checking guys' weights as we're going along, but they're more checking the weight about if they're going to make weight. They're not checking the weight if they came in, on the Tuesday at 195 when they're fighting at 170.
Yeah.
And that's up to the commissions to go, okay, we're going to send a guy down here. We're going to have a guy weigh you when you come off the plane at the hotel, right? They know what time people come in at, whatever the case may be. And then you weigh a certain amount. If you're 25 pounds, 30 pounds over, it's off. You know what I mean? Like, and guys, if they knew that coming in, they would be that 20 pounds or 15 pounds on the Tuesday, making weight on a Thursday or per se on a Monday.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is Mark Pavelich, the most spoken up and most honest promoter that I've ever met in my 16 years in the sport. So I tell you what, he's getting ready for MFC 38 up there in Edmonton, Canada. For those of you in the United States, you can see it on Access Television. It's going to be a barn burner next Friday. I can't wait to see it. I'll be at home watching it. I wish I could be up there, but I don't like going up to Edmonton when it's cold, and I understand it's below 80 this time of the year, so I'm not showing up.
Yes, but you know what, Frank, and I'm going to say this once, I'm going to say it as loud as possible. You're one of my favorite announcers in the world. I tell everybody you should be on Monday Night Football. Forget MMA, it's for the birds. you should be on Monday Night Football doing Monday Night Football or Thursday Night Football. MMA is, like I said, for announcing it's okay, but that's what you should be doing.
Thanks, Mike. I really appreciate that.
I mean it. I mean, it's the truth.
Kiss your wife for me, and I'll talk to you soon, bud.
I will. Thanks for having me on.